So what we're gonna be doing here today is it's a test trial for feather art, feather mount bowl, whatever it is. Got a Bufflehead here that I dispatched back like, I think it was like December, probably. I don't know. But we are going to be figuring out if I can do this, if I'm artistic enough to be able to draw out, piece together, and clean this bird enough to where it's gonna look cool. I know it's a Bufflehead, it doesn't have cool feathers, but I've got a golden eye and a pintail that I've had in the freezer for the longest time. And I was gonna get them fully mounted and everything. The pintail's a pimp. He's like double sprigged, everything. He's super cool, right? But he's been in the freezer for like a year, 2 years now. So he's probably not gonna be able to be taxidermy very good. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a test trial with this guy, the Bufflehead, and you guys are gonna join me on that journey. Hopefully it's not terrible, and then it'll give me the confidence to do the golden eye, the borrows, and then eventually we might do the pintail. But if I suck, then I guess we need to get more birds and practice on them. All right, we're gonna go wash this thing. So here's the thought process. We're gonna clean it with Dawn dish soap because I saw someone do it on TikTok, so that's what we're gonna do. So here's the next step in what is probably going to be a long process. We take our clean duck, our wet soaking duck, and we're going to blow dry it. Get all the feathers nice and dry, and then start picking and plucking the feathers that we want to use. We're going to try and figure out how I can use some of the head feathers on them and see if we can't do something cool with those. We'll see. Change of tactic, we're gonna try and pat dry them as much as we can. I think that'll be our better option, besides trying to evaporate all the water off of them. Because, you know, it's a learning process. And so we've got them all blow dried off. Blow dried, whatever. And I'm looking at this guy, and he's got some, they have some pretty, so they've got just the black wing feathers, right? And underneath, they've got a couple of these guys that are like black and white, so that would be cool to incorporate. And I'm looking at the head feathers. There's a lot there, but they're like this. They're teeny tiny. They're like hairs almost, right? So, start going through and picking out feathers that I like and how many I'll need and this and that, and start figuring out how many and where I want to put them in the sense of trying to make it look logistic and make it look like an actual piece of artwork and not just a bunch of feathers thrown on a piece of board behind a picture frame. So, like, here's what I got going on. I now have all the wing feathers and the, I don't know what you would call it on a duck. I guess the fan. It's the same thing as a turkey, right? If you've ever done a turkey, they got their big old fan. Well, I've got the tail feathers all fanned out. But instead of, well, my pencil's not sharpening very well. Instead of just plucking them and guessing, the same way that I would do a turkey fan. Let me show you. Here's what we got going on. All the wing feathers all plucked out. They're not in the final resting place. They're gonna go on this black board over here. But I've got all the wing feathers plucked. They had some really cool, like half and half feathers. You can kind of see them through those whites. But what I did is I cut the butt, basically, out of the tail. And so now I can set the fan how I want it, create my template, and then transfer the template over to the board. I think that's the best way to do it, and then I can cut all the feathers off of the meat itself, and then I can set the feathers. I think that's the best bet that we can do on still deciding whether or not I want it sharp or I want it more kind of elongated. I like it this way, the more kind of stretched out spot. But there are feathers everywhere. If you're gonna do this, don't do it inside your house. Do it in a garage or somewhere where you can sweep it out, because there are feathers everywhere. And the wing feathers I kind of had to cut instead of plucking them out. I think I'll be able to pluck everything else out though. Boom. Rough fan. Wings. I guess that can go back there. Got those two templates. Kind of scoop those up and out of the way. And then we're going to get to, I think the belly feathers are more like gray and white, so I think it'll look cool for like a background setting for it all. Oh, I forgot about the head stuff. We'll see. I think I might have an idea for the head. But we're gonna pluck all the belly and do all that and get her all nice and going. So I figured out what I was gonna do with the head, and I did it. Can't show you the duck anymore. You know what I'm saying? But I can show you the display. Maybe, I don't know, hopefully. I think that's what I'm gonna do instead. I'm gonna put the fan at the bottom, fill in the gap with filler feathers. I think it'll look pretty sick. So I think the reason that I don't see as many people doing duck mounts, or like these little ducks, is because of the patience that it has to kind of take. So I'm kind of taking a shortcut, so I kind of understand why a lot of people don't do this. So I'm just taking the down feathers, or the belly feathers, right? Look at that. Doing it one by one is not efficient. So what I've been doing is plucking 5, 10 at a time, something like that, whatever it turns out to be, and just cutting a decent amount of the down off. And as you can tell, as I'm doing this, I have a bowl. It's just the down's everywhere to cover the area that I got going on. So we'll see how that goes. But it's going good. It's going good. A lot, I'm not gonna say easier, but it's more simple than I thought. But I know that once I get into more complex birds like pintails and mallards and stuff like that, and they have those complex feathers, it's gonna be a little bit more difficult. That's why I'm practicing with this guy, so I can get a handle of it. You're probably seeing down just float straight in front of you right now, but it's how it has to be. It's literally everywhere. I'm probably gonna have to take a leaf blower this whole thing. So here's the plan. I have my layout ready. Have all my belly feathers. I'm gonna start transferring them. I think I'm gonna do it in the middle because we've got broken edge here, right here, somewhere. I'll figure something out. But start transferring them so that I can lay them out the same way I did here. Thought that's a bad idea. Just put them onto the sheet and then lay them out on the sheet so we don't have to deal with template and crap. That's the plan. If it starts going wrong, I'm throwing this whole thing away. Setting one side has proven more difficult. So I got the one side. Those feathers are still all in order. I gotta get this side, and I'm trying to set it up there. It all line up correctly. I also ditched a couple feathers here. And here's my even smarter part. Which you guys didn't see there. I don't know if you saw it, but I knocked all the feathers off the table. But I had the better idea of taking the fan and putting her over top of these bottom ones, all the way down the bottom instead of up the top. Do the fan, but not doing real wide because he's got little feathers. Go like that, glue it all down, and just snip the back off. And they'll all lay down nice and neat. Know what I'm saying? I think we just kind of put those where they're needed. It's only going to be like an 8-inch, 8x12 picture frame, but it's gonna work. It's gonna look sick, I think. Hopefully. So much down everywhere. So I laid down a couple practice feathers, and they look pretty good. Don't look at those ones, but like these ones right here in the middle, that one looked ugly before I put it on. They look good. So we're gonna, I think I'm just gonna send it. I don't see a reason why not to. Just do it. And if it sucks, it sucks. It's a Bufflehead. I got a golden eye to practice on. I don't really want to do it to that guy. So this is what we've gotten so far. It's about an hour and a half, 2 hours almost. I think that's 4 layers. We're getting there, we're getting there. Taking a long time. All right, so we might finally made it to the fun part. Got all that laid out, all the background feathers. Now we're getting into the wing feathers. See if I can't mess these up completely, but should go pretty smooth from here. Say that, but then, you know, probably won't. Something's gonna go wrong, and then no, it'll be okay. Everything's gonna be perfectly fine. What can go wrong? We're just putting a bunch of adhesive underneath these bigger feathers so they stay down. They don't end up popping back up and doing some funky junk. I also just thought of something and it worked phenomenal. If you spray the back of the feather, they actually stay up. But if you spray it on here and they kind of lay down, I don't know. It's going though. We're back the next day. I got everything laid out. I'm sorry I didn't show you guys that part, but it was stressful. It was getting late. So, we've got everything all laid out. Got the wings in, got the fan in. I chopped off all of our excess there. And single feathers, I ended up leaving the fan on the little chunk that I had so that I was able to lay it down and it didn't kind of skew all those. The heads were a little, or their own problem. I ended up washing them and then drying them one more time and then spraying adhesive on the back side, on the skin side, and ended up pushing them down and laying them down. But what you learn is to not be lazy and wash your hands off from the glue we get sprayed on from the first head, and so that your fingers don't stick to the feathers of the other head. That's why that guy's a little off center. It got stuck, so I had to peel it back up and put it back down, and it kind of curled in all those feathers on the edge, and I got glue on the hair there, or the feathers, but I don't think it looks too bad. I ended up working out pretty good. So our next step is going to be making the frame, and I think that we're just going to do it out of some little pieces of wood. Might stain it, might paint it, we're not sure. I'll show you guys. Well, I got to thinking, what am I going to do with all these feathers that are on the floor? There's so many down feathers on the floor. And I opened the garage door, as you can see, a little bit of wind blows right out the door. See, just traveling out. But it's not enough. It won't be all the way out. So we got a little leaf blower here. And we're going to turn around. I mean, like, feathers are biodegradable, right? So they should just go out and find where they should live for the rest of their life. So we made another Home Depot run. Went and got a 2x3 board. Now we're going to stain it and then cut out all of our pieces for our picture frame. Everything's all dry on the piece and everything, so it should be just this guy. Stain it, put the frame together, put the feathers on the frame, and it should be done. You guys will watch as I try and stain this correctly. And there's our first layer of stain. I might actually only do one layer depending on how this all dries out. Of course, the cops are going to be driving by right now, and he's going to be driving away, so it's really loud. But we've got her all stained up. Both little sides, both 1-inch sides, and the one 3-inch side. I think that's going to look really cool. I think the dark colors are what's going to make the whites pop a lot, and it shouldn't hide the blacks and the grays of the wing. And there's a little bit of brown in the belly. I think he was more of a juvenile than what probably someone would get a Bufflehead mounted at, with really, really white, deep white colors and everything. But I like it. I think it'll be cool, you know. So it's day number 3 on this whole feather art extravaganza, and last night I ended up trying to cut out the frame, cut out my long ends, my foot long ends perfectly, right? They work perfectly exactly where I wanted to line up. And I go to cut my short ends of the rectangle, and they're supposed to be at 7 3/4. And I end up burning an inch so that I have an exact measurement, because I can't put anywhere on the tape measure to hook onto the corner. And I measured at 4 3/4 instead of 5 3/4, so it made my sides of my frame too short. So now we're gonna go back and restain the board and cut these pieces correctly. Hopefully I can do that and I don't run out of board and I gotta go back to Home Depot, because that would suck. We've made it back, and this is where we got yesterday. Cut out our 2 longer pieces. It's exactly where I want it to be. As you can see, I measured once, now I'm going to have to cut twice. That gap is not what we want, about 1/2 inch on each side, right? I want to fill it in just like that. But I cut those too short. So, now, what we're going to do. So we've got our board, we're going to restain it and try and recut it. See, it looks great from over here. But no, someone has to cut it wrong. This is measured at 12 from that short end to that short end. Cut at 45. So now I'm cutting the other ones at 4 3/4. And that'll leave enough to where it's still looks good. There's enough showing, but it'll kind of cut off this top edge, and then it'll cut off this bottom edge, kind of leave a little bit of the spines down there, but that's about it. And it'll go right into this rib of this feather right here, and right into the rib of that feather right there. So we're going to stain that again, and I'm going to show you how it's going to look once it's all stained and all cut back out, and it looks beautiful. Four 3/4 inches from the inside of the small cut, and I'm burning an inch. We're going to do this the same way, but do it the right way this time. At 1 inch, we're going to go 5 3/4. Put us at 4 3/4, and we're going to take our square here and lay out a rough guesstimation. Over 45. See, we've got opposing 45s. And boom. Now we should have our 2 small ones. So it's now 2 weeks later, and I finally decided that I was going to finish the mount, the feather art, whatever you want to call it. And this is how it turned out. I've never made a frame before. Frame looks all right. The 45s didn't quite line up. I was too lazy to correct it, but here is the frame. Get you guys some nice up close and personal video of it, but I think it turned out all right. It didn't turn out too bad for the first time. I also was thinking, oh, I can make it perfect, da 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 da. But because of it being the first time, might as well just leave it as is and just learn from the mistakes and make better ones. Hopefully that's a cool idea of what is possible for us for this channel, and if you guys want to follow along with that and do it that way, that's perfectly fine. But these are all open to full-on customization, however you guys want to do. You guys can flare out the wings more, do more of a square, do whatever. But obviously with a Bufflehead there's not much to do, but yeah, I think it's pretty cool. But we're gonna try and do some fishing this summer, try and bring you guys along with that in these kayaks here, get some turkey hunts in, and just see what we can, fun, cool stuff we can do with this channel. One more look at it. Things can improve on, but I think that it looks pretty cool. Alright guys, see ya, catch you on the next one.